Well, hello there, folks. Today we're continuing our discussion on who are you listening to? Who should I listen to? Be sure to watch the first video. Part one was about listening to or reading martial art forums, going to different association meetings, conventions, things like that. Things to watch out for. I'm definitely not opposed to that, especially if you're an owner. Maybe not so much for staff people. This part, let's talk about coaching or consultants. And for full disclosure, just want you to know that I am one in the martial art business side and curriculum side, and then outside the martial arts industry in regular life, I'm a coach also. Understand that I have hired consultants and I have hired coaches, so I've been on every side of the spectrum. So that's full disclosure. All right, I'm not gonna push my little deal here, but I wanna give you things to consider if you are considering a consultant or coach. First of all, do you really need one? Man, I say yes. Everybody needs a mentor. Everybody needs somebody they can look up to, bounce ideas off, because in this business, and we've talked about this before, there are ups and downs and it's stressful, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, you need somebody. I'm gonna spend a lot of time on that because it doesn't matter what career you have, you need somebody to mentor you. In life, parenting, if you're married, you need to have some good couples that you can look up to. So let's get back to martial arts. How do you pick your coach or consultant? Well, you have to make sure that that person fits the culture of your school. Now, let me kind of really hit on something here. The culture that you want to create or have married to the curriculum that you have. It's sometimes curriculum doesn't really match up to the culture you want. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because that's not the purpose of this video. That'll be later on. But you have to make sure that coach or that consultant understands what you're trying to accomplish and they can marry your goal, whatever it might be, in accordance with that curriculum and the culture of the school that you want to create. If you want to turn out world champions, there's a certain culture in that school and there's a certain curriculum that needs to be taught. Pure and simple. Okay? That's just for an example. So that coach, and hey, listen, anybody worth their salt can do that. Okay? But that's just the first step of something to consider. The second thing to consider is, are you mature enough? Are you open enough to spend the money to hire someone to tell you what you should be doing? Are you mature enough to handle that? Because we attract these alpha types who want to be independent. They want to do their own thing. And you have hired somebody that's been there, done that, had all kinds of successes, and now they're telling you to do this thing or a better way of doing it, and you don't want to because you know better. And most of the time, that just doesn't work out. So let's make sure that you are mature enough and humble. Can I say that word again? Humble enough to receive that, digest it. I had a great consultant one time, probably the best I ever had, and it took me years after our time was done to actually not disseminate, but to digest what he was trying to teach me, because it was drinking from a fire hose. It was just, whoa. So you need to communicate with your coach too, if they're giving you stuff too fast, hey, don't be bashful. Hey, let's dummy this down a little bit. Because a lot of times in business, especially A, B, and C equals D, but you know what? J, K, and L, it happens because of C, D, and E. So you have all these domino effects. The third thing I want us to think about when you're hiring a coach or consultant is there's two ways that you can hire them. You can hire them, for a period of time, just to assume their knowledge or get their input on different things. But then you can have different projects. I can hire a consultant or a coach to help me through this project I have, maybe like hiring staff. What's the best way to hire staff? A staff training program. I need to implement that, for instance. A lot of schools struggle with that. I need to have a concise marketing plan. That's another thing schools struggle with. Price structure in accordance with my programs and tuition billing, things like that. You can have different subject matters and you pay a flat fee for that particular project. When looking at a consultant or a coach, you absolutely should have someone, especially if you are new. Then you need to make sure that consultant really understands what you're trying to accomplish with your curriculum and your culture of your school. And then you need to make sure that you are open to receive what they're telling you. Okay, and you don't have to do it if you don't want to, right? But you need to understand why, why they're telling you that, and maybe why you're opposed to that. You're scared this and this and this will happen. If they probably have a client where they had that similar experience that maybe you could talk to and say, no, that's not true. They came out of this, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, how you hire them, a period of time or certain projects. Another thing that I would consider is I would talk to some schools that they have helped, and I would visit those schools. Don't just talk to them, I would go visit them. But we have to understand, if you do that, that person might have a different goal than you. Okay, so that's not necessarily a black and white issue. So I hope that helps you out a little bit. I'm a big proponent of it, obviously, but you got to have your mind, body in place, but you have to have your mindset in place to absorb what they have to say. Because if they are a good coach, they're going to tell you some uncomfortable things that you need to do to grow. Remember, growth happens outside your comfort zone. Hopefully this helped you out.